I'm going to welcome our technical producer, Joliet Josh. And our guest this week is Attorney Dave Schlueter. Now, Attorney Schlueter is a constitutionalist, as I am. And so I asked Attorney Schlueter, what kind of issue did you want to talk about the Constitution? So tell us what you want to talk about.
The topic grows out of what I call a limited government perspective. From my opinion, these United States are actually these United States, and that it's a bunch of states that people should be able to select where they want to live based on the value system, the taxation pattern, not just geography, and that there can be differences where it should be different in Colorado than it is in Illinois. In other words, there are United States, okay, it's a republic of states. We have a lot of power and sovereignty, we're used to anyway, of which a federal government unites them for basically the things that should be necessary. Illinois, we have Air National Guard, but they really couldn't build aircraft carriers. In other words, there needs to be a federal level of that. There needs to be a federal level of commerce, having common money, and generally security, the borders, things like that. My topic today is, in Illinois, we have a thing called the Real ID. We're catching up with a lot of the other states who've had similar. There was a day about 3 years ago we weren't supposed to be able to go to O'Hare, but it's been now kicked back, I think 4 years total. I actually did get one right last time when they opened up the window to get them, because I have 3 kids who live out of state and I would like to fly when I can. You can have a passport and fly, but one of the days if you lost your passport or was in the laundry and you then have to fly the next day, you're not going to be able to bring that if it's ruined, and then you might have to be at a wedding or a funeral. So I went ahead and got one, because eventually it will be the only way you can fly will be a passport or that Real ID. And I'm mentioning it as a constitutional issue because what they are making people go through to get that is unbelievable. They are making people with a straight face say, you need to go back and correct your birth certificate. I had a guy in my office the other day. His parents gave him a different name than what he had and when they came over or whatever. We have people running across the border and getting all kinds of licenses and IDs, but a regular, honest person, you wouldn't believe it. I've heard 7 or 8 war stories that I can't actually believe they happened. I was behind a lady when I got my Real ID. They want everything to match, so they want your Social Security to match. They bring your W-2. It's so crazy. It has nothing to do with driving. Your W-2. Anyway, lady ahead of me, you have to bring a utility bill to show where you live, okay? So she has a gas company bill that had a letter after her unit number, but her driver's license that she's had for 20 years, and she lived there 20 years, didn't have that letter after it. They go next. They turned her down. She took a day off work from Chicago and came out to the suburbs, and they said, that inconsistency, you're done. It all has to match. You think you're going to get People's Gas or Nicor to change the address in their server? It's never going to happen. It's not even on her door. She lived in Unit 2, but it had 2B in the gas bill. So that's what I'm saying is an over-encroachment into common sense of our rights to travel. These people are getting turned down. They actually told someone, you got to go get a new birth certificate because like the middle initial wasn't on the birth certificate, but they got a middle initial later or whatever, or their Social Security. They've actually told people to reapply for a new Social Security card. What are you talking about?
Actually, I have a client, they made him go to court and change his name.
I mean, come on.
Because he didn't even know that there was a conflict in his birth certificate, and he had to go to court and change his name to the name he's been using for 20-some years.
And what does that have to do with a regular, honest person having the right to drive? So it's kind of a liberty thing.
Yeah.
It's not a right to drive; it's a privilege. People can lose their license for doing a lot of things, not paying the bill. You don't renew it, you're done, right? But absent that conduct of outright disregard for the system, you need to accommodate this. You know darn well that is the same guy or the same woman. They knew this woman lived at that apartment. That's where her license was. So they've got a little power and they're running with it. So I'm not joining a militia or anything, but I'm just saying that outrages me as a fair-minded person. That has nothing to do with driving. What your gas.
I agree with this, and a lot of this also goes back to what I do with the IRS. Is like, they make these broad rules, and then they say, well, we're not going to really hold you to it, but then they do. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, here I always liken it to a kid with a lemonade stand. The rule is you're not supposed to have a lemonade stand, right? He doesn't fit the license things, but we always let the kids have a lemonade stand.
Cute.
Yeah, and it's not hurting anybody.
They make $3. Who cares?
But when they start coming down on, hey, you got to have this, you got to, it's just wrong. It's just wrong.
It's because people sit in a room and say how different.
That's why we have to be very careful about what we allow in the law. And if they say, well, don't worry, we're not going to enforce that, they're lying to you. Anyway, tell us your